Hi, welcome to the Enlightrepreneurs podcast. I'm here with my partner, Justin Minout, and also with my friend and I would call mentor, Kevin Clark. Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Kevin, it would take the entire podcast. I could spend an entire podcast introducing you. You're a global brand strategist, worked with the IBM ThinkPad for many years with IBM, travels the world helping companies, and is always the first person that I go to whenever something big has happened because Kevin has his finger on the pulse of things like no one else had ever met. And when I reached out to Kevin, as I do in these times, he turned Justin and I on to his S3 methodology with crisis management, which is just so prescient. And so, Kevin, I'm just going to turn this over to you and have you tell us about what your business and your experience and your observations can tell us about how entrepreneurs can best manage this moment.
Sure. Well, we'll get to how I spend my time. I'm not on airplanes right now.
That's good.
So you're here from my home office, right, spending time with you. The S3 model is one that is designed to talk about kind of a compression of what you would normally think of as Maslow's hierarchy, which has 5 levels. But what we're talking about here is 3 levels. I compressed it down to survival, success, and significance. And the general notion is that mapping to human development, the way that Jean Piaget would understand human development, when you're a child and you're with your family and your parents, you're basically in a dependent state, right? From infant all the way through the time that you hit adolescence. And so dependence is the modality of that moment. Then you become adolescent, right? And at that time, you have to take on the role of being independent. And biologically, this is a very important moment to do that, because if you didn't have the instinct to be independent, you'd never leave your family and start your own, right? You would, just stay right there, nested with the people who raised you, and you would continue to be dependent on each other. So you go through this period, and it's painful for the parents, right, to go through this moment of independence, right, beginning to manifest itself, because I don't, I want to kind of reject everything that you're doing. I just want to do what I want to do, right? So if childhood is a we, we the family, adolescence is an I pronoun, right? Existence. Right? It's
egocentric.
It's all about me. Everything that I'm thinking about, all of my ambitions, I'm going to go out into the world. Then, all right, if we move on from that, we become, a fully functioning adults. Our prefrontal cortex forms at about age 25 or 26, and we have the ability to understand consequences, and we embrace interdependence. It's not just about me. I'm back into a we environment. There are lots of other folks I have to interact with. This is the way that you would understand, the full blossom of adulthood. Now,
I'm a little curious, Kevin. So how would you differentiate the we that is the basically infant we, the dependence we, and then the interdependence? Would you make a distinction on those a little bit?
Sure. Well, I mean, the fact is the cohort gets bigger. You go from family to, oh, look, I'm really interconnected with a web of people, a network of things. And so some people might choose that network to be family, friends, place of work. They might embrace their region, their nationality, their community. They might think of themselves as a global citizen. There are a number of hold-ons of interconnectedness, right, that are interesting. But what we have a tendency to sell here in North America, specifically United States, is independence, all right, which I look at as kind of like fixation on adolescence.
Right. It's a prolonged teenagerness.
Absolutely. Right.
Wow.
So it's, it's you learn to play the win-lose games, right? So one team's got to win, one team's got to lose. I'm going to go to debate club, whatever, right? That, all of those things carry on into, what we would think of as numeric adulthood, right? 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But, right, the point is you may be taking a deferment on purpose.
Wow.
And the fact is that young people do not want to take a purpose deferment. Bill Gates just said, I'm stepping away from Microsoft. That happened about a week ago. And what is he going to do? He's going to go and spend time with Melinda running the Gates Foundation, doing good.
Yeah.
Well, he's building a company, and that company functionally was extremely focused on adolescent type behavior, right? It was a win-lose game that they wanted to play versus competition, right? And Gates Foundation is a win-win game, right? But he had to get into later in life, right, to realize that that's something that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Success, that middle piece, is withdrawn in the moment. Right now, most people are not going to have the ability to play the success game narrative that we normally would, associate with business, commerce, because you're either going to, in this moment, dive into the foxhole and try to survive,
right,
or you're going to rise up and try to do something significant. The middle narrative is withdrawn for the moment. So you have a choice. Am I going to go back to dependence, or am I going to rise to the occasion and do something significant in this moment because, it has that possibility, and that I'm looking at this as, filling needs that have never manifested before.
Sure.
So when I talk about, when Dave introduced me in crisis management, sure, it's a crisis. How do you respond to the crisis, right? Well, you're either going to respond to it by withdrawing, or doing something new, something innovative, something interesting. And so, different people respond to that stimulus in different ways.
So it seems that what really you have an accelerant right now that's accelerating our growth to get out of this I stage and move into something else.
Well, I mean, we've been talking, if you've been listening, to a number of institutions about the future of work. The future of work has been thrust upon us, right? What we're doing right now, right, is the future of work, right? That we're going to be more online. I was just talking to someone the other day, and they said, I'm glad that you did a teleconference the other day instead of a video conference, because everything has become a video conference and my eyes hurt.
Right.
And so people are not necessarily choosing the appropriate modality for communication, interconnection. Some things should be on Slack, in a conversation, a threaded conversation. Some things should be, text messages. Other things should be video conferences. It seems like we've kind of defaulted to, let's make everything a video conference, right? We were going to have a 3-day conference. We can't get together. So let's do all 3 days, right, together online. Well,
in front of a screen, right?
It doesn't work. The modality's wrong, because you didn't do the interpretation to the appropriate time, ability to use attention, and so on and so forth. So I think that we're making adjustments, we're learning, and I see a lot of people responding and craving, someone else please take care of me. And another group of people are saying, wow, what an opportunity, I'm going to do something, and they're clustering together, they're reforming, their connections and communities, and they're doing something different. They're both potentially, the right responses for the person involved. But if you think you're going to just keep on doing what you were doing, that's not possible right now.
Right, that doesn't exist. So a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs and business owners. What do you think the opportunity is for the business owner right now who is choosing, let's assume they're choosing to rise up to significance, and collaboration over competition, or,
Mhm.
what would you say are the big opportunities for a business owner in this time?
Well, one of the things that you need to assess is, are all the people that I used to think of as competitors still competitors? Or are
Hmm.
they potential collaborators, right? Do we need as an industry or sector to do something together, right? You'll
Hmm.
notice that in this moment where we're asking people to build ventilators, right?
Hmm.
That General Motors and Ford, right, and Tesla have all decided that they're going to throw in and do this at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a response that says we're going to build capacity for something, that's needed, that's
Hmm.
good. When I wrote about this, I wrote a paper. I'll just read. There are key principles about crisis management that I think are important for people to keep in mind, because it gives them the capacity to do what you're asking. Um,
Yeah.
how do I rise to significance? The key principles are: slow down. When others are panicking and speeding up, you need to be able to slow down and
Hmm.
retain perspective. Right? So that's one thing, right? That you feel like, oh, I'm going to have to, speed up and do all kinds of.
Yeah.
No, slow down. Second is stay rested.
Hmm.
Get a full measure of sleep so that you're making good decisions when you're awake, and so keep sharp.
Yeah.
When I would coach executives in the middle of product recalls or other things that we did over the years, they'd want to burn the midnight oil, making sure that everything was perfect. And I said, nope, you need to go to bed now, right?
Hmm.
And the reason is, whatever you're going to do tomorrow is going to be based on, getting a good night's rest. If I have to put you in front of cameras tomorrow, you're
Right.
not going to be good, right, if you look like you stayed up all night.
Hmm.
And whatever we prepared you to say, you're going to say something different in the moment, and you're going to be at your best, right, if you got a good night's sleep.
Hmm.
The third is situational awareness. You have to stay aware of what's happening around you
Yeah.
so that you're coherent relative to what's changing around you. So those are the
Yeah.
three, principles that I
Wow.
think allow people to rise from, what looks chaotic
Hmm.
to your own grounding in what you are going to do and how you choose to respond to, shifting circumstances,
Yes.
which creates uncertainty for some, but perhaps creates conviction for others.
I'd say on the stay rested piece too, something that's been helping me is, I mean, even just staying healthy in general, which is eating well and doing little exercises at
Mhm.
home, and all the things that, I think you said it really well, all the things that keep you sharp so that you can show up as your best self. I think that's beautiful and very practical.
And the fact is that you may have had a routine before.
Mm.
You may need to break your routine, but create a new one.
Yes.
I'm on, with different clients at different time zones. And as a result, some of the things that we would have done if I had gotten on an airplane are missing. So
Hmm.
I have, participated in meals recently where someone's having breakfast and I'm having dinner, and we're actually sharing that experience with each other. Now,
Wow.
I've noticed that there are some call-ins where people are saying, let's have a happy hour together.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if you're really distant, right, like
Mm.
another, half of a time zone away, that it's 12 noon here, but it's 12 midnight someplace else, uh, you need to make an accommodation. And the relationship that you would have had, the kinds of things you would have done if you had gotten on the plane, you need to figure out, how do I, create a simulation
Mm.
of that experience so that we can stay in relationship during this time of separation.
Wow.
It's Kevin, and I know running out of time here, but one of the things that's so interesting is that it just seems like every time I look backwards to what I'm used to doing, that seems inappropriate. I mean, there may be some wisdom there, but it's like, I just have to let go of all the things. This is what I do. This is what my schedule is like. This is what my expectations are like. And I think one thing that makes you so invaluable, besides your brilliance, is just your experience with so many, over decades with so many different companies and so many situations that allows you to just get a feel for what's actually, what will probably work, what has the best chance of working.
Sure.
And
Sure.
one of the things that I'd like to do, and because it's so rare that you're not on an airplane, and normally when I want to, it's a month before I can get a time with you when I want to sit down, have a
Sure.
cup of tea or whatever, is that if we can find a time, we'd love to get you on where we could, a longer period of time, get some of our people to interact, be able to actually
Yeah.
bounce off against your wisdom and experience, and to really bring forth what it is that you have, and have to bring into the world, and you are bringing into the world.
Sure. I mean, I'm doing a lot more, speaking, but it's this way, all right? I'm
Yeah.
delivering the, the presentation, as it were, this way. What was going to be a 40-minute presentation can't be a 40-minute presentation, all right?
Right.
So it needs to be, as we end here, it needs to be about the length of what we just did, all right? So that you can unpack something and then get into a discussion with the people who are, there. Flipping the classroom, which means whatever you were going to say, or a teacher, that becomes the homework, right? Because just go ahead and tell the students, let them see what you're going to do on the blackboard, the whiteboard, and then when we come together, we can have a conversation, right? We can have a discussion, because that's the more important thing. Is let's have a let's actually build community, because we can't physically get together and do any more pheromone exchange and
Right.
unconsciously smell each other to say, yeah, activate that amygdala. We can't do that. So we're going to have to overcome that by being even more authentic in the way that we portray ourselves, in mediated environments. So,
Yes.
Dave, thanks for the invitation. It was a great pleasure.
One thing I want to do, just because I think we went through it so fast, the 3 S's, I don't know if we ever delineated what those 3 S's were.
Yeah. Survival, success, and significance, right? So, as I said, the S3 model is kind of a compression of Maslow from, the base level going up to self-actualization. I'm simply saying that survival and dependence, success and the independence narrative, and significance at the interdependence level is we're having to discover significance as a group of people at a moment where interdependence is what's going to cause us, right, to actually be able to thrive going forward.
Yes.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, I actually need my community. I need more than, all right, just myself, all right? So that, they're being forced out of the I pronoun existence back into a we pronoun existence, but it's the larger one. Not the one of nuclear family, but the one of humanity, civilization, community, right? And what we see, or at least what I'm experiencing, is that neighborhoods, mayors, governors are stepping up to the challenge, because they have the resources and they have the knowledge of the people that they're working with to actually succeed in the context of what that group needs, right?
Yes.
There can't be a United Nations global response, right, to this, because even though it is a global phenomenon, and this is the first shared human experience that people have had in their lifetime, right?
For a lot of people, yes.
And so the fact is, people talked about 9/11 as that moment. For me, it was when I was having to hide under the desk because we were all going to die from a nuclear war, right? And so I haven't had anything like that. But then again, that was a first world problem. Third world countries were not being targeted by nuclear missiles, so there were large parts of the world that never hit under desks for that reason. All right, this is everyone. Right. This is a moment for every person on the planet to have a common experience. And the question is, how are you going to use this to move your life forward, right? And
Yes.
so I'm
Beautiful.
looking forward to continuing that conversation with you, and I'm
Thank
glad
you.
we could spend this time together.
Great to have you.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry it took this to get you around where we can spend more time together, but it's good to have you in our lives. Thank you very much.
Kevin,
Take
thank
care.
you. This was brilliant.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Cheers. Bye.